Pause for a moment and truly examine your life. The choices you make, the routes you take, the people you hold on to, the dreams you chase, do they genuinely originate from you? Or is there, beneath the surface, something guiding those decisions? I'm not referring to outside forces like family, society, or culture. I mean something internal, quiet, and personal. An element that resides within your own mind. Carl Jung argued that much of what we consider the self is, in reality, an illusion, a facade we present to the world. Most of our lives are driven not by the conscious mind, the part here now listening to my words, but by unconscious forces operating like automatic programs. The most unsettling part is that these programs weren't designed to set you free. Instead, they were shaped to keep you safe. But safety in this context means being trapped, limited, confined within patterns you don't even realize. Picture within you small psychological entities, sub-personalities that observe the world, determine how you should act, and, when you least expect it, seize control without your awareness. Jung referred to them as autonomous complexes. They don't seek your permission or ask if you want to respond with fear, anger, or submission. They simply act on their own. And when they sense you're trying to change, they intensify their efforts to keep you exactly as you are. Reflect on how many times you've thought, "I don't know why I did that," or "that wasn't really me in that moment." Consider the opportunities you've missed, the conversations you've avoided, the emotional outbursts that later made you feel ashamed. They weren't just mistakes or bad moments. These signs indicated that you were being propelled by forces beyond your conscious awareness. And this is where things become even more unsettling. Jung understood that these forces do not operate alone. They feed off one another, intensify each other, and form a cycle that's nearly impossible to escape. He referred to this as psychological possession, a state where you think you are in control, but in truth, you are merely a passenger, carried along by deep, ancient fears that influence every move you make. These fears are not the ones you experience during a horror film or in moments of genuine peril. They are more subtle, deeply rooted within. Invisible forces that influence your actions, your decisions, and even your sense of self. Jung pinpointed 3 core fears, and grasping each one is like discovering the keys to the prison you've been unknowingly confined in. Today, we'll explore these 3 fears, but don't anticipate an easy chat. Once you see what lies behind your behavior, there will be no returning to the blissful ignorance you've clung to until now. It's like flipping on a light in a room you've kept sealed shut your entire life. You might dislike what you see, but you can no longer pretend it's not there. Are you prepared to confront yourself honestly? Are you ready to uncover who or what truly governs your life? Because once Jung's revelations are out, everything changes. The choice will be yours alone, to remain guided by these inner forces, or to take control of your own destiny. To grasp how Jung's fears manifest, we must explore a dark chapter of the human mind: autonomous complexes. Though the term may seem technical, it describes something you've likely felt firsthand, maybe even just yesterday, without realizing it. Complexes are like small personalities within you, not mere metaphors, but fully formed psychological systems built from memories, emotions, and images, and impulses that center around a core filled with affection. When this core is activated, it does more than influence. It takes over. Jung noted that a complex can form from meaningful experiences, traumas, humiliations, rejections, or unfulfilled desires, and once it exists, it develops a life of its own. Imagine these complexes as islands in the vast ocean of your mind, each with its own rules, language, and response patterns. Your primary personality might be calm, rational, and balanced, but when a complex is triggered, that self is temporarily replaced by another that reacts in a completely different manner. And here's the most unsettling part. You often don't realize when it happens. A simple comment from someone can trigger a complex rooted in rejection, and suddenly you feel hurt, withdrawn, or defensive, ready to lash out or run away. A situation that echoes an old failure can awaken the fear of not being good enough, causing you to unconsciously retreat from opportunities. It's as if secret buttons are hidden throughout your life, and anyone who knows where they are, even unintentionally, can press them and manipulate your reactions. Jung said that complexes are not necessarily enemies. They are fragments of our psychic history, parts of us that have become frozen in time, still reacting as if the same situation from the past is happening again. The problem is that without awareness of these parts, you have no real choice. You think you are acting intentionally, but in reality, you are just reacting based on an old script created by events you often don't even remember. Consider this. How many times have you promised yourself that next time you would behave differently? Yet, when the situation arose again, you fell into the same pattern, repeating the cycle. This isn't a matter of lacking willpower. It's a complex process of taking control. That's why Jung viewed complexes as autonomous entities. They don't need your permission, they ignore your plans, and they disregard the consequences. Their only goal is self-expression. The good news, and the great challenge, is that these complexes can be identified and, with effort, integrated into consciousness. However, this demands the courage to carefully observe moments when you feel you are not yourself and to ask, who was in control just now? And it's precisely at this moment that we like to delve into it in the next section. If this resonates with you, please click the subscribe button and join the channel. Thank you for your support. Of all the fears Jung identified, this one may be the most insidious, because it doesn't appear as fear. Instead, it masks itself as caution, good sense, or the belief that it's not the right time, that it's better to hold back. It's the unconscious fear of truly becoming who you are meant to be. Jung referred to this journey as individuation, the process of uncovering and living in accordance with your true essence, the self. He believed that only a few people possess the courage to see it through to the end. Resistance to individuation acts like an invisible barrier formed early in life. From childhood, you are conditioned to conform. Be good, be polite, avoid drawing attention, speak softly, hide vulnerability, and follow the crowd. Society, family, and school all work together to shape an identity that feels safe, predictable, and acceptable. But safe for whom? Safe for the system, but not for your soul. When you begin to pursue individuation, whether by changing careers, ending a toxic relationship, or saying no instead of yes, something inside you stirs. A quiet yet intense panic arises, as if your psyche screams, "Return, you're leaving the safe zone." That's the trap. The safe space is actually where you remain stuck, repeating old patterns that may slowly destroy you, even if they feel familiar and secure. Jung noted that most people choose the false security of collective conformity over confronting the loneliness of true individuality. Because claiming control over your life requires relinquishing excuses. It means no longer blaming others, luck, fate, or circumstances. It's about accepting full responsibility for your own existence. And this burden, this complete freedom, can be overwhelming for many. Have you realized how much simpler it is to follow a pre-written script than to create your own? Opting for a safe career is simpler than risking what you truly love. Maintaining superficial friendships feels easier than opening up to meaningful yet risky connections. It's simpler to identify with a group, whatever it may be, than to face the fear of rejection by everyone. This resistance to individuation thrives on choosing the less threatening route. However, the cost is steep. Every time you give in to this resistance, you move further from your authentic self. Your life begins to resemble a poorly interpreted role, losing its genuine meaning and depth. A character you embody so convincingly that sometimes you forget it's just an act. Outwardly, everything appears normal. Inside, however, something slowly withers away each day. And here's the cruelest part. This resistance doesn't act alone. It moves alongside another potent force Jung called the persona, an armor we adopt to navigate the world, yet one that also confines us. In the next chapter, we will delve into this armor, the persona, and the profound fear that keeps us living behind it in hiding. To navigate the world, we all learn from a young age to wear masks. Jung called these the persona, and they are not outright lies, but adaptations of ourselves to fit social norms. They are the versions we present at work, with family, among friends, and even the self we see in the mirror. The persona serves a purpose. It acts as a social garment that shields us from immediate judgment, helping us function smoothly in society and interact effectively with others. The mask helps us navigate situations where full authenticity might result in rejection or conflict. However, this benefit comes at a steep cost. Over time, we start to mistake the mask for our true face, losing sight of where the performance ends and our genuine self begins. The issue is that the persona is not merely a tool, it can become a prison. Imagine living so long in a role that eventually you forget who you are outside of it. The fear of rejection and criticism or isolation keeps the mask firmly in place, even when it suffocates us. We avoid situations where our true nature might leak out. We choose words that won't upset, opinions that won't cause division, behaviors that hide what's beneath. The third step is expression. Jung recommended methods like active imagination, dream journaling, and creative work to give voice to what is hidden. It's not about art for art's sake. It's a dialogue with what dwells in the shadows, helping us understand and integrate our inner selves. It involves putting onto paper, through images or words, what has no room in your daily life. This act narrows the gap between the conscious and unconscious mind, helping repressed material to be processed and integrated. Most importantly, the fourth step is to take responsibility. When you become aware of the game, you can no longer see yourself as a victim of circumstances. Acknowledging that unconscious fears influenced your choices is not an excuse to repeat the same pattern. Instead, it marks the turning point where you can declare, "I see, and now I choose differently." This marks the point where individuation stops being an abstract idea and starts to become a real, lived experience. But proceed with caution. Breaking the cycle doesn't mean you'll never be affected by complexes, the persona, or internal resistance again. It means that when they surface, you'll recognize them and decide whether to respond or not. It's the difference between being a blind passenger and being the driver who knows every twist and turn of the road. And this is precisely where the final stage of our journey begins. How can you maintain this awareness in everyday life, reinforcing your inner autonomy and preventing the shadows from taking over again? That's what we'll explore in the next section. If you've reached this point, it's because on some level, you understand that what we've discussed isn't just abstract theory or textbook psychology. It's about you, about those moments when you felt out of control. It's about those moments when you promised yourself you'd change but ended up repeating the same patterns. It's about the choices you can't quite explain, the opportunities you let slip away, the relationships you cling to even knowing they're harming you. It's about turning inward and seeing that unseen forces, hidden beneath the surface, are actively shaping your life. Jung's teachings are difficult to accept. As long as you don't bring these complexes into the light, avoid confronting resistance to individuation, and remain trapped in your persona, you stay stuck. You will be living a role that is not truly yours. It may feel convincing, even comfortable, but at its core, it's a prison. Each day you avoid confronting this gives those forces more room to control your choices. Yet there's one thing no one can take from you: your capacity for awareness. Once you begin to see the mechanism, it no longer functions the same way. It's as if, by turning on a light in the basement, the figures that once appeared as enormous monsters now reveal themselves for what they truly are. Parts of you that became frozen in time, needing integration rather than denial. This journey is not for the faint of heart. It demands courage to confront discomfort, discipline to maintain awareness, and a strong will to become whole, even if it means dismantling the self-image you've constructed so far. Now, I want you to do something. Before you leave this video, pause and reflect. Which of the three forces we discussed feels most present in your life right now? Is it a hidden complex controlling you without your awareness? Or perhaps the quiet resistance that keeps you from living more authentically? Maybe it's the mask of your persona that you're afraid to remove. Write in the comments, not for me, but for yourself, as a way to bring what's often hidden into the light. And keep in mind, this is only one step on a long, meaningful journey. There are still more parts of this internal puzzle to uncover. In the next video, we'll pick up where we left off, and I promise it's crucial. I'll see you there.